Kia ora, good evening. I'm Mary. I'm a licensed immigration advisor with AJB Global. Sorry, I've been fumbling around again because I'm trying to run this session on two different platforms. I'm live on Facebook and on YouTube. So today we are going to talk about the skills required, specifically in the area of IT, which is broadly known as ICT here in New Zealand. Before we go to that, we will also be taking a few questions. Before we go to that, I would like to talk about some interesting developments over COVID and borders, and then we'll go ahead straight into the live session to talk about our main topic today. So, first of all, New Zealand has opened borders from the 1st of August. 31st July, but it's at 11:59 p.m. onwards. Technically, 1st of August 2020. So, and it's been great with borders being open, also the visa processing for offshore applications across all visa categories have resumed. This means we are expecting a lot more travelers. We are expecting our economy to grow. Also, our most important and our favorite area of work is the student recruitment, and the universities and the colleges are now also ready and welcoming students. So we had the first 500 student cohort which who have already arrived. We had a good bunch of students who had come in. We also have had our catch up meets with them. We've had one in Christchurch, we've had one in Hamilton. We're yet to have the Auckland one, but we're very excited. We are very excited. We are going back to normal. We pre-COVID situation, what we had, we are so happy that we're going back. Additionally, from yesterday, that is 13th of September, our COVID traffic light settings have also been scrubbed. That means we have no more mandatory mask wearings, and vaccine mandates are going to be removed from 2 weeks from now. Also, there is no vaccination requirements for tourists who are entering New Zealand. However, you will still be required to fill a traveler's declaration when you are entering the country. Um, Otherwise, everything is back to normal. We have to wear masks only in places of healthcare, like hospitals, pharmacies, and aged care centers, because these are areas that are more, what do you say, critical in nature, and the government is trying the best to continue to save as much as possible, make the country more safer. New Zealand is ready, as we said. New Zealand's ready to welcome back our tourists, our travelers, in parents, families, and more importantly, students. Right now, that's the best amazing news that we're going back to normal. So, what it means for migration, what it means for our skill shortages, all this has to be filled because now our economy is going back to normal. There has been changes in the way our economy is responding. Hence, recently the government has released something called a green list. The long term skill shortage list was the document to go to in the past, but now the government has now released a new shortage or skills list, which is called the green list. The green list means purely that these are the people that are required in New Zealand immediately at the moment. It's not long term or short term, and there are a few categories of migration pathways open for people in this area. So today we are going to talk about what is the migration pathways for IT professionals. IT broadly, I'm going to talk about ICT because in New Zealand we usually talk about information communications technology, which has an overlap of telecommunications and information technology, which also includes computing. So there are about six roles that are listed in the green list, which basically are between tier 1 and tier 2. In the green list, basically there's tier 1 and tier 2, where the tier 1 categories of occupations, you can apply for something called a fast track residence. First of all, if you are in these areas, in these roles that I'm going to talk to you about, there is a chance that you will be able to apply for jobs while you are still overseas. Okay, not that you're in New Zealand and you have these jobs available, but if you are overseas, there is a very good chance that you will be able to apply online for these roles via our most popular job site, which is seek.co.nz. Employers are aware that there is some due diligence required if they have to hire people from overseas. Well, the government has covered this, and the government has also begun to educate employers that yes, we have to do our due diligence, our labor market tests and all have to be done. But if you're on the green list, there is no labor market test done. That means the government has already confirmed that there are no New Zealanders for these jobs. Like, you might always have this question saying, oh, you know what, why will New Zealand hire people from overseas? And there is this always this question: will the locals never be, will always get jobs, and the overseas applicants will not get preference? But the government has cleared this. They're saying there are no New Zealanders for these jobs. It's very, very scarce, the availability. Hence, they are going out of the country to recruit people into these roles. So that means the employers are aware that they have to sponsor your visas. So there is something called, there is no need of labor market testing in the process. That means they don't have to advertise in order to fulfill the labor market test. However, these roles will be listed. If they are looking for people, they have to they will list these roles. Or you can also go on their individual websites, on the big IT companies and ICT companies websites, and look to see if there are any careers listed. Yeah. So please make note of these specific roles where you can apply from offshore in order to get a job in New Zealand. Now, what do you say, what kind of visa you will get is, you will first get a work visa. This is called an accredited employer work visa, where this is again a new visa category that was released earlier this year, where all the employers who hire migrants on and sponsor a visa will need to be accredited. So the large IT companies that are looking at filling specific roles are aware of this requirement, and they go ahead and they do get themselves accredited. That is basically a check from the government saying, okay, you meet all the employment laws, you have been doing your bit in terms of no migrant exploitation, you're paying well as per market, your work conditions are great, you've got a great working ethos, you have records, and you do fair by your employees. So that's what the government is interested to check, if they're going to accredit any employer, right? So you have to apply through an accredited company, and the employer should be willing to basically sponsor your visa. So these are the roles. Importantly, this is the green list roles. Okay, the first one is chief information officer. So there is it comes under the ICT telecommunications roles. The qualifications are not listed for this particular role. However, the employment that the salary that they are going to offer has to be above 57.69 per hour. If an employer sees your skills, your background, you could not have a bachelor's qualification in IT or anything, but if you have many years of experience, and based on your experience, if your employer is willing to give you a job of a chief information officer with a salary of 57.69 per hour, then there is a pathway, there is your chance to straight off get into this accredited employer work visa. After that, you can also look at residence. There is a straight residence pathway as well. As soon as you come in, you can apply for residence directly. Okay. However, a minimum of 10 years of experience will be required. As I said, you don't have, there's a no qualification requirement, but there is a work experience requirement here. So if your employer feels you've got 10 years of experience, tick, you've got the skills to fit into a chief information officer role, then you have both work visa and pathways of direct residence, right? The next one is ICT managers. Um, in this again falls under ICT, electronics and telecommunication, the unit group under ANSCO. Over here as well, there is no qualification that is specified under this. You could not have a IT qualification but have 10 years of work experience, plus you need to have a salary of 57.69 per year, per hour, to be offered by your employer. No qualification mentioned. Work experience, however, is mandatory for this role. The next one is ICT project manager. Um, Again, no qualification mentioned, but you have to be paid 57.69 per hour and have 10 years of work experience. The next one is ICT security specialist. The same thing, salary requirement, no requirement of qualification. However, you need to have 10 years of experience. The next one is a multimedia specialist, which technically is not IT, but multimedia specialist, again, there's an overlap between design, gaming, uh, software development. There's quite a bit of an overlap when it comes to multimedia specialist. Yeah. So if you are a multimedia specialist and an employer is willing to offer you 45.67 per hour, then you have your work visa eligibility. And if you have um, a a higher remuneration will be required for direct residence, and you need to have 10 years of work experience for the straight off residence role. Yeah. And the last one is a software engineer. Okay, so you are required to get a salary of 57.69, and for direct residents you're required to have a higher salary with 10 years of experience. So I want to clarify here, for all these roles there is no qualification mentioned. And I know for a fact, I'm from India, and I know that a lot of people have their base qualification, or their basic qualification is always different, and it's not I've known mechanical engineers moved into IT. I have known engineering graduates moving into management. So in this case, immigration is keen to see your skills, is keen to see what role you have worked for. So in all these six roles, for the work visa you are required to have a salary, which I have mentioned, for work visa only. But when you want to apply for something called straight residence pathway, if you are looking at coming into New Zealand applying for direct residence, or you're based offshore and you want to apply for direct residence, the salary, the threshold is slightly different, except for multimedia specialist. If you see, all the other roles need you to have an 86.54 per hour for residence. Yeah. But if you're being paid 57.69, you can get a work visa first. Okay. Now this is called tier 1 work visas, accredited work visas. And then you have tier 1 straight to residence, where you need a higher salary. However, suppose if you don't have the higher salary, you're just at 57.69, there is an alternate pathway of residence, which is called a work to residence, where you can apply to work. You will be basically on a work visa for 2 years, and at the end of 2 years you will be eligible for your residence. You can apply for your residence at that point in time. Fast track residence is almost immediately if you meet the threshold. But if you don't meet the threshold, then you're looking at a 2 years work to residence pathway. So IT professionals have always been on top of the demand list, guys. Also, the salaries are amazing. When you move across companies as well, I have seen the salaries, is there is a jump of 20 to 30% between companies, because in New Zealand you are hot cake. Okay, you are a hot cake, and that is the reason um, the government is also encouraging employers to go outside the border and start hiring people. Okay. Now I have I know it's not plain simple, because the roles that I mentioned will go through some kind of an assessment, right? Now not all the jobs that are being offered to IT people, from offshore to offshore people, will not meet the green list straight off. Or you might meet the title requirement, but you may not meet the suitable qualification, not qualification, or the other requirements that your work experience. Now for example, there's 10 years experience for residents across, right? So what if for the first 2 years you were in another role, you were not in that core role, like say software engineering, you were not software engineer, you were probably something else, or another technical role. So that 10 years does not meet the requirement. It is very clear that it says it has to be a relevant role. So please understand, when you apply for these visas, there is a fair bit of an assessment that an advisor is required to do. Okay, a lay person like yourself will not understand what these nuances are of the process. Hence it's very important to seek consultation, or even to understand, how do I go about, or where do I start, how do I prepare my CV? Because trust me guys, if you're going to put 4-page CVs, nobody's going to look at it. So there are a lot of things that I think people miss. I think a lot of people do miss the fact that there is some legal jargon that you might not understand. So it's important that you seek that you seek advice. So while I'm just scrolling, I just saw one of my clients, Shamal Parekh, who says, recently I got a job as a technical support tier one. I'm pretty sure the market needs more skilled IT professional. Thank you so much, Shamal. Shamal is one of our students, and he vouches. He's here in New Zealand. He vouches that New Zealand needs more people. So if you belong to these IT skills that I've mentioned, or if you are not belonging to those IT skills, but you've got strong IT skills, please do contact us. Because if suppose you are getting a job as an ITC technician, for example, you're getting a job as an ICT technician, or a hardware database administrator, or any other ICT role that you think you are able to apply online and get a job, then guys, there is no problem. Even then, an employer can support your visa, even if you're not belonging to these six list of occupations that I have mentioned. Because as I said, IT is in always been in shortage. With the borders being closed, we've struggled even more, right? The economy was not able to grow because of that. Now if you belong to these areas, or an employer is not willing to pay that much, that's fine. You can still apply for a work visa. Okay, there is something called a labor market test, which I was telling you right at the beginning. The labor market test, as soon as they advertise, and if they're not able to find a New Zealander, an employer can offer that job to a non-New Zealander, to a immigrant from offshore. So please note, it doesn't mean that you have to be on that list only to get a job. You could be an IT person, you could be an engineer for that matter. There are a lot of other roles, by the way, in the green list. I will do different sessions for different sectors. This was only for IT and ICT. So please note, if you do not belong to the direct six roles that I just listed in tier one green list, but you are an IT professional, we recommend you to go ahead and try and apply online and see. Because if an employer is struggling, I have known personally ICT system analyst, there are employers who have struggled for months not being able to fill those roles, right? There's constant demand, as and when there are more projects, there's more work, people, the employers keep hiring. But I have known some companies who have had positions, the attrition is very very high, purely because they are not able to fill those positions with New Zealanders. So go ahead, dare to go ahead and apply. It's okay. I mean, if an employer says no, that's fine, but please go ahead and apply. Even if you are someone with 1 or 2 years of skills, go ahead and apply. As long as the employer is willing to pay you something called a median wage and willing to sponsor your visa, no issues, we will help you, right? Now, aside from this, there could be an opportunity that you've been trying online, but employers are simply not responding. There is another pathway as well. Like, for example, if you are very, very keen to move and you want to move as a family, your partners can take up study in New Zealand, right? If you are great with your IT skills, the partners can take up a study, a master's level qualification here in New Zealand, and your partners can come along and apply for your own work visa. Employers also tend to be more favorable in terms of applicants on hiring process if you're here in the country. Yeah, the challenges are different. So that's another pathway available. If you don't think your efforts are going through and you're applying online, nothing's happening, the other path, available channel is to get into the country and then look for jobs, so you can get in as a partner of a student visa holder. Yes, it'll cost you money, but well, it's a worth and a very stable pathway. I myself have traveled into this country on that pathway. My husband came to study and I came on a partner visa, and then I did my license and I went ahead and applied for my residence. And yes, it's a very stable pathway. Pretty much everybody on my team have taken the similar pathway, because especially for people who are not in the green list, it's even more better and stable as a pathway to come in, look for a job. New Zealand needs skills across the board. It's not just one area, one sector for that matter. We are also having sector arrangements with health and hospitality, because there's so much of demand right now. And now, I'm not sure how many of you know, we get more travelers in and out of New Zealand, more than our, what do you say, our population. So our we are 5 point something million. We have almost that many number of travelers in and out of the country, okay, in all forms. So the country needs people, we need to fill positions across the board: healthcare, hospitality, general management. Then you've got aged care facilities, you've got health, direct health. I'm talking about where you're a doctor or nurse, and engineering, IT, education. A lot of teachers are required in New Zealand. So talk to us, have a chat. I know that New Zealand is always one of the least preferred countries because we are small, we are far away, all that understood. But I think the benefit in exploring New Zealand when pretty much everybody says no, because I know that many other countries have their very, very specific requirements of people coming in, or it becomes very difficult to apply for residence. But New Zealand has been quite open in that sense. We have had also, we as an agency, we've had a very, very high conversion of our students moving from student visa to a resident visa. We've had a very, very high success rate, and we're very proud of that. So have a chat with us. Our numbers are listed on our website. Our website is ajvglobal.com. However, I'll quickly say my toll free number here in New Zealand. It's 0800 696977. Please do contact us. We are more than happy to discuss your pathways. And sorry, one of my phone's buzzing. Sorry, there's some messages on one of my phones. So please do reach us, email us at info@ajvglobal.com, and we'll be more than happy to have a no obligation chat. For us, it's important people reach out, and we are more than happy to clarify. After a few conversations, after the information that we have shared with us, you have verified and you've analyzed that, yes, this is the way to go. Only then we will sign you up as a client. Otherwise, most of the conversation is no obligation and free of cost. So we look forward to your calls, your emails. There are not too many people. I see there are not really any messages or questions. I see one person has asked, how do I apply? Krista Mitch, please do send us a contact or DM us. One of my team members will reach out and we can discuss this in detail as to how we can apply. But I'm here to talk about the IT skills which I did. I hope you guys like the session. Please like and share with your family, or if you're not willing but you know someone who's interested to come to New Zealand, to migrate to New Zealand, please do share our details with them. Thank you, and Kaki Teano.